If there's one idea in good authority that people have come back to us over and over again and said, yes, that's it. That's the way we want to have conversations. That's the way we want our leaders and managers to give feedback in our organization. It comes down to the accountability dial, because it gives people a process for how to start and manage those conversations in a way that's more methodical. We've been teaching and coaching and training leaders and managers on this tool for the last decade, and we've seen it have some dramatic impacts. So many times where a conversation using the accountability dial has led to somebody staying in a job when they otherwise would have walked out the door. And every single day, we see people doing work differently as a result of getting feedback and feeling like they're being coached by their manager on their day-to-day work, getting to a deadline rather than missing it, being proactive in their communication rather than waiting for something to happen, taking risks rather than waiting for validation. The list goes on and on. When the accountability dial becomes the way your team communicates with one another, the quality of the work improves, the pace of the work improves, and the way people feel about their experience of work changes for the better. The accountability dial works by taking a conversation that would normally happen in one go and breaking it down into a series of steps. In the rest of this course, you're going to learn and implement the 5 steps in the accountability dial: the mention, the invitation, the conversation, the boundary, and the limit. The mention is simply noticing and naming a behavior for the first time. The invitation is recognition of a pattern of behavior. The conversation is creating a shared understanding of the impact of that behavior. The boundary is coming to an agreement on what change looks like and by when. The limit is when you feel like you've exhausted your ability to coach and you need that person to take a definitive and decisive next step. All of the 5 steps in the accountability dial share one thing: they are not punitive. Whether you're at the mention, the invitation, the conversation, the boundary, or the limit, each one of those conversations starts with an assumption that the person that you're coaching, that the person you're giving feedback to, wants to grow. The secret to why this works and why so many people have gravitated to the accountability dial is it's not really a tool about work. It's about life, it's about relationships, and it's about how we show up for one another. So learning how to talk about what we're feeling, learning how to talk about what we're seeing, learning how to share our opinions, our perspectives, and our feedback for other people is a life skill, maybe the most important life skill there is when it comes to showing up as a good friend or a good parent or a good partner. We've seen so many instances where people have taken feedback that they got from a manager who was using the accountability dial and had it translate into the rest of their life, where they saw an opportunity to take the thing that they were working on at work and use it to become a better parent or a better husband or a better wife or a more impactful member of their community. Before we move on, 3 things to remember. First, the accountability dial is a compass, not a map. It's not a set of specific instructions for what to do in every circumstance. It's a way to show up to the dialogue for how you coach and develop in a way that works for everyone. Second, the accountability dial is not a performance management tool. If there is an egregious violation of company policy or a clear thing that you need to bring to HR, you need to go and do that based on whatever the rules and guidelines are where you work. The accountability dial is for all the conversations before that, all the little miscues or the failed handoffs or the lack of proactive communication. It's all the subtle things that happen in a culture that tend to demoralize and disengage people that you're going to use the tool to get out ahead of. And third, the accountability dial is designed to give you a shared language, not just for how you give feedback, but for how people talk with one another and for how you talk with your manager. It's all about creating a culture where people know where they stand and that no matter how busy or stressed people are, we're working on talking with each other in a humane way. Thousands and thousands of leaders and managers have used this tool to change the culture on their team and to learn how to give developmental feedback in an entirely new way. The accountability dial is a 5-part process for how to break up a feedback and development conversation into small, manageable pieces. And we're going to walk you through each one of those steps as we go through this course.